Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes' Tottenham blog and to another Tottenham Hotspur News live stream. As you can tell by the thumbnail, I'm going to be trying to get through quite a bit today. I'm going to be talking about the few players that have been loaned out in the last couple of days: Anthony Georgiou, George Marsh and Jack Rolls. I'm also going to be talking about some interviews done by Hugo, Lloris and Harry Winks over the last few days. And as well, some rumours about George Kevin Nkudu that he could be heading off to Besiktas on loan for the season ahead. Just before I get started, for those who are watching on the live stream replay, there's going to be a few links down in the description that you might want to check out. I'm doing a Facebook group at the moment for Tottenham fans, so if you do want to go down there, just go down and click on the link. And when you're trying to join the group, there'll be a few questions you need to answer, just for me, so I can make sure it is Tottenham fans who are joining, and we're not going to get fans of different teams in there. I'm also going to have my fantasy football league down there. So again, link will be down there. Just click on the link and the code is there as well to get into that league. And again, it's a Tottenham league, so it's going to be great fun. Only 2 weeks in, so there's plenty of time to catch up. I'm also going to be doing a jersey giveaway on this channel soon. You may have known I did one last week or the week before, but the winner for that was unable to claim the prize. They didn't meet the requirements to win that. So I am going to be running that giveaway again soon. So I have a sponsor for it and everything. So if you do want to be in with the chance to win a jersey, just make sure you stay tuned to the channel. If you do want to subscribe to keep up to date with the videos, I do interactive live streams like this. And I also do different videos like transfer talk when it's relevant, match reviews, match previews. And I'm going to start a loan watch feature on the channel, hopefully tomorrow, keeping up to date with the players that are out on loan. The ones we're already have out there are Jack Clark at Leeds and Luke Amos at QPR, and one or two others. So if you do want to keep up with that, just hit the subscribe button down below and make sure you click that notification bell, because YouTube, their notifications are a bit off at the moment, but if you hit that bell you'll get all the notifications for all of my videos and when I go live. So make sure to do that and you can keep right up to date. So I suppose just to get straight into things, Anthony Georgiou was the first player that was loaned out the other day. He signed a new contract with the club and was immediately loaned out to Ipswich, I believe, for 1 year. And I think it's a good thing for him. Of course, we know Pochettino may actually prefer to keep players at the club rather than loaning them out, because he seems to prefer it that they are, kind of kept in the Tottenham setup to play with the right side of things. Welcome Alan Harris to the stream. But I think it's good for Georgiou, because in the last 2 pre-seasons he's really impressed. We were out in America for the International Champions Cup last year, then of course in Asia and around Europe this year, and I think he did really well. And he was maybe one of the better young players that was there. He's playing in left back, but Danny Rose was left out of the squad and all that stuff. So I think he did really well. And he just hasn't really been able to get into the first team. And I know at the end of last year he was loaned out to Levante's B team in Spain, and for them he played 11 games and I think he scored 1 goal. So it is great for him to go and get that first team football, because at 22 you think he might kind of be getting towards the end of his chance to actually get into that first team at Tottenham. And I see Alan as well saying he scored a penalty in the Audi Cup. But at 22 you kind of be thinking he is getting to that stage now where he's either going to be getting into that first team or he is going to be leaving. And it looks like Pochettino still does have faith in him that he could actually be here for the season ahead, or for the long term kind of. And I think it's a good deal for him going out to Ipswich as well, staying in England. And it's only going down, I think, 2 divisions. Ipswich were relegated last season. Joe here saying I'm going to the game versus Sheffield, first of the new stadium. I can't wait. Enjoy the game, Joe. It's not for another couple of weeks as far as I'm aware, but that's really lucky to get the first game at the new stadium. I can't wait for mine. So yeah, I'm happy for Georgiou going out and getting some first team football. And as well in the League One, he will be probably one of the better players there. And it'll be interesting to see if he has played in that left back role, or if he can play in kind of the more advanced role, which he has played for us in the past. I think he played a Champions League game for us there against Apoel Nicosia. But he's a good player and he does have potential, but it's just about getting that first team football for him now. And he probably will be getting that this season with Ipswich. Now the second player who was loaned out was George Marsh. He was loaned out on the same day, I think it was Monday, to Leyton Orient, who have just been promoted to the League Two. It's his first loan spell away from the club, which is obviously going to be really exciting for him. His first time really getting into some first team football, because he is of course playing now in the League Two. Now Marsh, he's another player who really impressed in the pre-season tour, but he was playing out of position because he was playing in right back where we were really lacking. With Juan Foyth was left out because of the Copa America, and Serge Aurier because of the African Cup of Nations. So the only really established right back that we had in the team for the tour was Kyle Walker-Peters. And in pre-season, the way the manager likes to really switch things up and give different players game time. So it was George Marsh who played in right back for a lot of that tournament. And he did pretty well, but that's not his starting position. He's a centre midfielder. So it would have been a bit difficult for him, as well with the formation we were playing, as I've been saying, the 4-1-2-1-2, which puts a lot of dependence on the fullbacks, and it was a really difficult one for him. But he did play well against some really good teams, so he's an exciting player for the future, only 20 years old, and hopefully he will get some more game time with Leyton Orient in midfield where he does prefer to play. And again, in the League 2, obviously the quality is nowhere near what it is in the Premier League, and maybe he can really shine as one of the better players there. Now, the third player who was put out on loan was Jack Rolls to Cambridge, and he actually has already made his debut for Cambridge. Only a 1 year loan for him. It was one that kind of all of these kind of came out of the blue. There wasn't really any rumours or anything like that, but it's a really good loan deal for Rolls. And I think Cambridge, after his debut, they put up a tweet at the Tottenham official account saying, "Is this guy really a wizard?" So he must have had a fantastic first appearance for them, playing in, I think it's the League 2 they're in as well. So it's really exciting for these young players getting out on loan. We always need these young players to get first team football, and it's not going to happen at Tottenham. You might see one or two of them coming in the domestic cup games, but I think Pochettino has enough in his squad now to not have to depend on them, and he probably has a bit more ambition in those tournaments, trying to win a trophy sooner rather than later. So it is great for these guys to go out and get some first team experience. Now, the next player that may be heading out on loan is George Kevin Nkudu, and this is one that it kind of surprised me, because we know we were told he was placed on the transfer list for the last window, and when he was involved in, I think, the tournament squad for the Audi Cup, I personally was a bit surprised, but he did really well in the tournament. We all remember that assist he got against Real Madrid, or was it Bayern Munich? He got an assist anyway. Did really, really well down the wing and put in a fantastic cross for Lamela. So I was kind of expecting him to be in the squad for the season ahead. We do have a lot of depth in that area, which may be why he is being forced out. And I see Steve Ruffett here saying it's a 5 million sale, apparently. And you know what? I'm actually just seeing here on football.london, it could actually be a permanent deal. Look, I think that's a bit disappointing. He's a really good player when he does get going. He's just kind of struggled to get into the first team at Tottenham. And for me, the kind of similar player that we've had in the last few years would be Clinton Ng. And I think Nkudu has offered a lot more than Ng ever did at Tottenham. I know he was only there for a year or two. I'm just seeing here on football.london, if this loads. Yeah, I was expecting him to see him in the first team because of how well he did in the pre-season tour, and it kind of looked as though because of the game time he was getting, that Pochettino might have had him in his plans. But football.london here saying George Kevin Nkudu's 3-year spell at Tottenham Hotspur is close to coming to an end, as Turkish side Besiktas are in talks over a permanent deal for the French winger. The 24-year-old has struggled for game time under Spurs boss Mauricio Pochettino since signing from Marseille for £11 million in 2016. And he spent loan spells at Burnley and Monaco in recent seasons, both of which he also found minutes hard to come by as he suffered injuries at both clubs. So injuries has been a thing that's held him back as well. And it kind of defeats the purpose of a loan deal when you see a player not getting game time. And I think that's what we're also looking at with Jack Clarke at Leeds at the moment. He wasn't even in their squad for the game against Wigan last weekend. Now my laptop's just going all over the place here, one sec. Nkudu did appear for Tottenham in their opening match of the Premier League season against Aston Villa, coming off the bench in the final couple of minutes. However, he was not on the bench for the 2-2 draw at Manchester City, and Besiktas have made their move for the wide man. The Super League side have been reported to be keen on a loan move for Nkudu, so they did want a loan deal, but it's believed they're now looking to land him in a permanent deal worth around £5 million. So I want to thank their Lucy H Vids for the super chat. I appreciate it. This maybe is where it's important for Tottenham. His departure would free up one foreign player squad in the Champions League for the season ahead, and to be named in the Tottenham Champions League squad. The Frenchman was left out of the squad last season, but Spurs would have had the space to include him this time round. That means that spot could be filled should the club move for a free agent before they have to name their European squad next month. A reduced terms contract was offered to Fernando Llorente after his deal expired, but with interest from Italian clubs and United, he's not expected to return to North London. So a bit disappointing there by Fernando Llorente. I would love to have seen him back at the club, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Tarek Supic saying predicted lineup for Newcastle. As I was saying yesterday, it's really hard to kind of predict the lineup at Tottenham at the moment because I've kind of been waiting for that 4-2-3-1 to come back, and it's just not happening. And I was 99% sure it would be coming back against Manchester City, because following the game against Villa, Pochettino said it was his tactics in the first half that was why we struggled so much, and I kind of took that as the 4-2-3-1 or the diamond in midfield formation. Now, when the lineups came out against City, I did think it was going to be the same diamond, but as the game kind of went on, it was really hard to see a formation in there. We were kind of all over the place in midfield, and there was different times we saw a 4-4-1-1, we saw a 4-4-2. We saw, I think for a bit we may have seen that 4-1-2-1-2, but it was just really confusing. And I hope, because it's a really good opportunity to get some real confidence and to get some goals on board in this game against Newcastle, because they've started really poorly, conceded 3 at Carrow Road last Saturday. So I think if we do revert to that 4-2-3-1, with the likes of Heung-min Son coming back now, Giovanni Lo Celso having finally made that first appearance for the team, and we also have obviously Eriksen, Lamela, Lucas, Ali will be back pretty soon. I don't know if he will be fit for this game, but there's a lot of options there, and I think because of all those options we have behind the striker, it just makes a lot more sense to play the 3 rather than the 1 behind 2. But look, whatever Pochettino goes with, I'm going to trust that is the best judgment. But I really struggle to predict what that lineup is going to be against Newcastle, because again, with all these different players coming back in, of course Vertonghen could be back in as well. I'm not really sure what we're going to see, but I think whatever we do see, we will beat them, because they've had such a poor start to the season and they're really, really struggling. Tarek also saying, I really hope Poch will not play with Winks, Sissoko and Dominic. There's no need for that. And I agree, they just don't seem to be doing particularly well with each other in the middle of the park. I don't know if it is the formation or the personnel, but I would assume it is more the formation, because it's just such a narrow formation, and it's just not working for us at the moment. Now moving on to the next thing, Harry Winks he's done an interview in the last couple of days since the Manchester City game. Now he's been getting a bit of criticism for this, which I don't agree with at all. Basically what he said is City and Liverpool should worry about Tottenham as title contenders this season, which I think is absolutely the right thing to say. If he had gone out into that interview and said, no, we're not going to win the league this season, we're not there yet, that would have been a whole lot worse than saying, look, we feel as though we can win the league. And even Pochettino has said already that this is the season where he wants to go on and win a trophy at Tottenham, and he feels as though he has the squad to do that. Now, following the City game, Winks was interviewed by the Evening Standard, and he said about the game, they're an excellent side, they're champions, and you have to respect them. But like all sides, they have weaknesses, and I think we exploited them, especially from the corner. We know how good we are, we know we're a top side, but when we come to places like this, it's important to get a result, which obviously we did. At times it was messy, it was difficult, but that's what you have to do, especially at City. You expect them to have a lot of possession, which they did, but it's important you come here to weather the storm, and when you're under the cosh, you stay in there, and I thought we did that fantastically. And then he's going on about the season ahead, and he said, I think City and Liverpool should worry about us. We've shown in the last few years we can compete with the best teams in the Premier League and Europe. It's important we do that on a consistent basis this season, and it's important we go to places like City and Liverpool and get results. The manager doesn't allow fear in us. We don't go into any game beaten mentally. We go into every game knowing we can win and we can outperform them. Our mentality going into every game is to be on the front foot, press and try to win. That's probably why we came away with a good point. So I think that's a very good interview from Harry Winks, and he hit all the points that you would expect him to hit. Acknowledging the importance of going to City and getting that result, but also kind of in saying that it was good to go there and get a result, saying that it's not because we're just another team in the league, it's because we do want to be up there with them. And I think that's a really good interview, and I don't understand the criticism he's getting for that at all. I think it's really, really harsh, but it's always going to happen with Tottenham. There are fans who just aren't happy with anything at the club, and I know you get that in every club, but they seem to be a bit more vocal at Tottenham, I suppose. And the fact that a player like Winks is, not only does he get a lot of criticism for his performances, which I don't understand at all, it's that when he goes out and shows ambition in an interview like that and says he does feel as though the team he's playing in can go on and win trophies, I don't understand why people will be unhappy with that. Steve Ruffhead saying about the Newcastle game, for me, Lucas one side, Sonny the other, or 2 up top. We need to win this game. I would like to see Lo Celso starting. I'd absolutely love to see Lo Celso starting this game, because I think it's a great game for him to showcase what he can do. Because you'd imagine Newcastle, especially now under Steve Bruce, will come to Tottenham to kind of just hold for a 0-0 draw, and we would need players in there that can unlock a defence with a pass. And we've seen in the past Eriksen can do that, but we've heard that Lo Celso can do it, so it would be nice to see him actually put that into action. and I feel like it could be a really, really good game. His full debut, his debut at the Tottenham Stadium, it could be a really good day for him, and if he can get 1 or 2 assists and maybe a goal, it would get him off to the perfect start, like Ndombele did against Villa. And I'd really love to see Lo Celso, even if it is just coming on for 60 minutes or maybe even coming off at half time, just get him starting and see what he can do. Delboy saying, just like the Villa game, this game does not suit Sissoko as we will attack most of the game. Lo Celso should come into that midfield to help them break down in their sitting defence, which is exactly true. I think maybe if there is a 4-2-3-1 in midfield, it could be Sissoko that drops out because he has been a bit disappointing in the opening games of the season. But having said that, I think Winks was kind of the same against Man City. But it has been Winks that has come off, that has been subbed off in the 2 games so far, and both the players that replaced him drastically changed the game. Eriksen against Villa and Lucas against Man City. But I do think it would be Sissoko who'd be left out, because I think Winks and Ndombele in those 2 holding roles complement each other a lot more than Sissoko and Winks or Sissoko and Ndombele. And I know there is that kind of rapport between Sissoko and Ndombele, but mainly on the footballing side of things, I think Winks and Ndombele offer a lot more. Defensively, I think they're both great. Ndombele is more of a powerhouse, but Winks is just so clever in breaking up the play, and they can both pass the ball really, really well, contrary to what a few people believe about Harry Winks. But I think they'd be the best players to have in this game. And we won't have to do much defending, but I think it would be important with the pace that Newcastle do have with players like Alan St-Maximin and Miguel Almiron. I think having Winks and Ndombele in there to kind of break up those counter-attacks will be absolutely great. But also when we are attacking, to have the 2 of them sitting behind, that they can pull the strings and they can spread the play, they can transition between the different phases of attacks. So I think they would be the best options to have in there. Sissoko, his main strength at the moment seems to be running with the ball, but in this game there'd be nowhere to run with it because Newcastle will be so compact, they'll be so deep. And I think that's also why a player like Lucas could struggle to impact this game, because his pace, it's such an important attribute for him. I think he could really struggle. If he was playing in a deeper role, kind of carrying the ball forward, where would he go? And I just don't think he is at that level yet where he can play in the attacking role. So I think it would be best to see Winks and Ndombele in there. Steve Ruffett as well saying it will give him confidence going into the next game. Delboy saying also, do you think Son comes straight back in? I can't see him dropping Lamela after a goal and assist personally. It's a tough one because if this was the first game of the season or first or second game of the season and it was any other player, you could easily say no, they won't be coming back in. But with Son, he just seems that no matter what, he's match fit. Like it's really strange. He went away in 2 international tournaments last year, and there were some sports scientists saying at the end of last season all the travelling that Son was doing would have been really, really damaging to his body and to his fitness. But right until that last game of the season, he seemed to be match fit, ready to go at the top of his game every single game. So I think only because it's Son, we could see him come straight back in. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if Pochettino did decide to rest him and maybe bring him on as a late sub. But I do think we do need to get him into the team for that game against Arsenal next week, so he's not starting with that game. If he has a bit of match time behind him going into that game, it would be a whole lot better. And I think we do need him against Arsenal because it'll be a completely different game where our pace on the counter-attack could benefit us a lot, which is why maybe we'll see Lucas starting that game and maybe not the Newcastle game. But look, it's absolutely great that we can have these discussions and we can have these headaches about who's going to start, because we just have so many options. That hasn't been something we've had the pleasure of having in the last few years, especially last year. But the fact now that we do have, we could say maybe 4, possibly 5 players who can start in that deep defensive role, with Ndombele, Sissoko, Winks, Dyer and Wanyama, who are still there, and with the likes of Lo Celso and Eriksen, who can drop into that deeper role, although they don't like doing it. Steve Ruffett, I said a team name there that I won't repeat. Having Lo Celso and Eriksen who can play in that deeper role, as they don't want to do, but the option is there. And then the players behind the striker, as I've been saying all summer, you have Eriksen, Lo Celso, Ali, Son, Lucas, Lamela, Sissoko, who can push up there, and Kudu, who I thought would be there, but obviously now it's looking like he won't be. It's really great to have, and it shows that maybe we are at a level where we can push for trophies this season. Thomas Gibbons, welcome to the stream, saying, I think we'll get a draw, kind of being honest. I think St. Maximin and Joe Linton will scare your defence. Thomas is a Newcastle fan. I can't see you getting a draw at all. Like, if you go to somewhere like Norwich and you're so disappointing, you're so poor, you offer nothing on the ball, on the defensive side of things, you're weak, you're not marking, like simply a player like Teemu Pukki, who is, as everybody knows, Norwich maybe not their biggest threat, maybe their only threat. And for him to be able to score a hat-trick, like that first goal he scored from the corner, the fact that he was completely unmarked at the edge of the box, it shows there's just no defensive awareness there at Newcastle. And if you go and concede 3 at Carrow Road, I think he could be in for a really, really tough day next Sunday against Tottenham. Welcome, Joshua. Delboy saying, I'm already worried about Sanchez against that Joe Linton. Sanchez, for a big guy, gets bullied by bigger strikers all the time, and 6'4" Joe Linton could exploit that. Vertonghen is way better with that. You know what? Joe Linton he's a good player, and he's not your typical Brazilian striker. But it's all well and good having a player of his quality, and for someone that they paid £40 million for. But again, watching the game against Norwich, he did absolutely nothing because he had absolutely no support whatsoever. Nothing at all. There was times there you'd expect, like as I was saying yesterday, him and Miguel Almiron, the two of them playing in that team, they're almost like the perfect combination of a striker and number 10 for a team like Newcastle, who, being perfectly honest, could be fighting relegation this season. I remember with, I think it was QPR their last season in the Premier League, they had, I forget the name, they won basically really tall striker, and they had Charlie Austin, and basically all they did all season was the keeper lobbed the ball up to the striker, he controlled it down for Charlie Austin, and he scored. And that seems to be the type of thing that Joe Linton and Almiron could do. But there's just the support for Joe Linton isn't there. And there were times in that game against Norwich where Joe Linton was up right on the centre back, the ball was coming up to him, and players like St. Maximan and Almiron, who you'd expect to be around there helping him out, were 30-40 yards back down the pitch. And it's because they were so exposed defensively, they needed that help, and they offered absolutely nothing going forward. And Thomas saying again, trust me, Maximan, Almiron and Joe Linton will start, and it will scare your defence. I really don't see that at all, and I'm absolutely not. I've no worries for this game ahead, and I think it will be a comfortable victory. But hopefully the players won't be as complacent as I am, but I do think as though it'll be a comfortable victory. Joshua, I've been live for 22 minutes now, and Joshua was saying no, Joe Linton won't bully Sanchez. No, Sanchez, he's a really strong physical player. I think he'll be able to deal with it fine, and especially if it is Vertonghen starting as well, he'll even be more well equipped to deal with it. Joshua saying, Son, Eriksen, Lucas, Kane will scare your defence, your attack is dead. Tottenham have a whole lot more than Newcastle, and if we don't go out and beat them comfortably, it will be a bit worrying, because Newcastle have been absolutely shocking already this season. It should be comfortable for us. I'm good, thanks, Orgarden. How are you? Premier League preview and review saying, I think we can win the league. I don't think we're at that level yet. I think City are just too good, and we saw that last Saturday with the massive gulp in class. City are just... They're more than world class. They're absolutely sensational domestically. I do think it's only a matter of time before we see them kind of showing that on the European stage. But domestically, they're just insane. They're completely unplayable at times. And that game on Saturday, Raheem Sterling certainly wasn't at his best, and he managed to get a goal, and he managed to really impact the game. Kevin De Bruyne, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a performance of that level in the Premier League, and obviously he got the 2 assists, and he didn't have an effect in the game where he kind of helped City on to win it, but he was ridiculous in that game, absolutely ridiculous. Like, those 2 assists that he got were, although they may have been helped by some lacklustre defending, they were unbelievable deliveries. And I think City just have too much, and looking at that bench they had as well, Mahrez, Silva, Jesus, Foden, and 1 or 2 others, and as well they're missing Sané through injury. I think they're just way too good, and they have the league wrapped up this season. But I do think that we might be getting a bit closer to the level Liverpool are at, because I don't see Liverpool reaching 97 points like they did last year. I think they will be kind of back at the level they're usually at. They will comfortably get in the top 4, but I don't think they'll be pushing City till the end of the season again this year. As Tarek says, we can't win this league, let's be real. Joshua saying 4-0 this week, Kane getting 1, Son getting 2, and the Celso scoring as well. I think that would be a perfect weekend for us. Pancake99 saying we won't win the league, City are just too strong, but hopefully a League Cup this season and top 4 will be amazing. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for this season. Let's get in that top 4, let's get Champions League football again, but let's win a trophy. I think it's time now, in the Pochettino era, that we do go on and win a trophy. I mean, this is his 6th season already, and while I've always said it's not the main thing for him that we do win a trophy, I think we're getting to that stage now where people have already started to judge him on the trophies that he doesn't have. But there's always been those people who are saying, look, that's one side of things, but look at how he's changed Tottenham. Look at what he's done to this club, who were happy to be in the Europa League, happy to be mentioned as a team kind of in the Premier League, and look where he's brought us now. And I think it just is now coming to that stage where people will start forgetting about that, because it's been 6 years. This is his 6th year. People will just start to look at trophies only, and I think it is important now to get that trophy this season, hopefully, but if not, next season, if he is still there, of course. Someone there, Delboy, saying FA Cup, not the League Cup. Look, they're all trophies. The FA Cup will probably be better, but I think a trophy is a trophy, and if it's not gonna be the Premier League or the Champions League, I don't see why we should kind of dispute between the League Cup and the FA Cup. Obviously, if it was a choice, if we won something we were asked to choose, it would be the FA Cup. But I think the League Cup may be a more realistic option, because the big teams don't really prioritise that. But any trophy I'd be happy with this season. It's just what we need at this stage, and it could maybe give us that kind of hunger to go on and win more. Joshua saying, agreed, Poch has changed us. Martial, AM Manu here saying, look, Man United will smack you. Unpopular opinion, Martial is better than Harry Kane. It's an unpopular opinion because it's stupid. If you honestly think Anthony Martial is better than Harry Kane, you've a lot of thinking to do. That's absolutely ridiculous. You can't even consider comparing Martial to Harry Kane. I mean, not only are they different players, but Harry Kane is 100 times the player Martial ever is. Martial, sure, he scores goals, but he's inconsistent. He could go out and he could score 3 goals one game and then not score for another 6 months. Oh, that's ridiculous. You can't say Martial is better than Harry Kane. Now, it's the last thing I wanted to touch on here before I take some more of your questions was Hugo Lloris. He, of course, made his 300th appearance for the club at the weekend against City, and he became the 42nd player to reach that feat for the club. And it's saying here on the Tottenham website, other ones are Jimmy Greaves, Danny Blanchflower, Glenn Hoddle, Gary Mabbutt, and Steve Perryman, the record holder. 854 games he played for Tottenham. This guy is saying Martial has got 2 and 2. He's an all-round striker. He holds the ball off perfectly. Is he even a striker? Does he not play in the wing? And he's got 2 and 2, but can you really judge on that? Kane also has 2, but Timu Pukki has 4. Ashley Barnes has 3. Does that mean to say Barnes and Pukki are better than Martial? You can't possibly say Martial is better than Harry Kane. At all. Now, Hugo Lloris saying about the making the 300th appearance. He said, I feel really proud. Over the years now, I've shown my commitment towards the club, and I'm really pleased with the way that we're going. It has demanded a lot of effort inside the dressing room and inside the club, but I think step by step we've built a really strong team, a really strong club, and hopefully the best is ahead of us. I just try to enjoy it and try to help my teammates, try to be one of the leaders of the team, and like all my teammates, we all want to find the moment to win trophies. We chase after that, we work for that, and we just need to be a bit patient, keep working with the right mentality as always, and hopefully we will be rewarded. The players, the club, and mainly the fans, they deserve it. Now, he went on to say about the game on Saturday. I was very pleased with the point. It's important from the start of the season to have this mentality. Sorry, let's go back. Martial is saying, come on, you should agree with this. De Gea is 100 times the player Lloris is. De Gea is better than Lloris, but he's not 100 times the player he is. I mean, Lloris is a World Cup winning captain, and De Gea, let's be honest, towards the end of last season was, useless. to be perfectly honest about it. Lloris was saying, like we said before, if you cannot win, do not lose the game, especially in the type of game that could be decisive at the end of the season. There was a lot of intensity, but I thought we showed a lot of maturity. We stayed calm in the storm. They tried to get the 3rd goal early in the second half, but then it's about details. The result is a good signal to all the other challengers in the league, and it has helped us to get more confidence. We will be even stronger and sharper in the next few weeks, so if you see the context, we can be very pleased with that point. And again, I think that's a really good interview, and he hit all the points that you want to do. Jesse Lingard is honestly one of the most overrated, ridiculously hyped up players in the league. Like, people still go on about him as one of the young English teenagers, one of the prospects for the future, and he's 27. He's absolutely useless. He's so overrated. I think last season he scored he didn't do anything in September, nothing in October, nothing in November, got 4 goals and 2 assists in December, and then nothing in January, nothing in February, nothing in March. He is ridiculously overrated. He's just like Paul Pogba. All he cares about is his image. That's just ridiculous. You can't say Martial's better than Ali and Harry Kane. That's completely deluded. Now, it's gone on the latest on Christian Eriksen. Now, of course, his future isn't quite confirmed yet at Tottenham. We're kind of all hoping when the English window closed that he would be there going into the... mate, our defence is good. Maguire, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, De Gea is a great goalkeeper. Okay, there's only one thing that I can really do here. Yeah, we've blocked him. Christian Eriksen, his future at Tottenham isn't quite done yet. There's some reports coming out that Real Madrid are looking to make a late bid to sign him, and I'm kind of thinking there could be some truth to that, because you know, you have Neymar, who Real Madrid were really looking into getting, and it looks now like he will be going into the Barcelona setup at the moment, because sorry, no, just 1 second. It looks like he will be going into the Barcelona setup because they're apparently close to signing him on loan with an obligation to buy, if I remember that correctly. So that one for Real Madrid, like, no one was expecting them to go in for that, but when they did, it kind of showed that maybe was where the majority of their remaining budget would be going. But now that looks to be over. I'm not really sure what's going on with Donny van de Beek at the moment, because that deal, Sky Sports reported before the end of the English window that was really close to completion, and they were almost just waiting on official confirmation. But there's really been nothing on that lately, and I don't know if Real Madrid are kind of leaving that one there as something they can fall back on if their prioritised deals don't really go ahead. And I see Thomas Nation here saying Paul Pogba, and Pogba did seem to be one of the... Is this another United fan? Anyway, Pogba seemed to be one of the main targets for Real Madrid, but it looks now at the moment like Pogba has decided he will be staying at United. He said something the other day about the way, like, once you're Mancunian, you're always Mancunian, so it looks like he is happy at United, and he may be staying there. Thomas Nation saying Pogba is better than Ndombele. Come on, Ndombele is shocking. Oh God, they're really some deluded Man United fans, and it's so confusing, because you think they'd know, having won all those titles under Sir Alex Ferguson, that right now they're struggling to get in the Champions League. You know, you'd really think they're just going to accept that they're not the team that they once were. Pogba may be better than Ndombele. He has a lot more experience, but if you really think Ndombele is shocking, you should probably stop watching football. Now, if Real Madrid do come in with a late bid for Christian Eriksen, I don't think we'll be in the worst position in the world, because we do have a lot of depth in that area. But I think it would kind of just put a lot more emphasis on the fact that we failed to get some of those deals over the line in the summer. Like, I don't know now if, obviously I don't know if these deals were close to completion, but Paulo Dybala will be the main one. Philip Coutinho, even though I'm happy that one didn't happen, because the Barcelona long term want £110 million for him. So I'm a bit happy that one didn't go through. But also I might look at Bruno Fernandes. But I think because we did get Lo Celso in, and we did get Sessegnon in, and we have the likes of Lamela looking like he could hit form, and we have Dele Alli, Heung-min Son, the regular players in there, I think we could be in an alright position if Eriksen goes. But obviously I'd much prefer he did stay. But look, it just comes back to this: why on earth is the European window on for longer than the English window? And this is something Pochettino has said he wants fixed for next season. He wants them to be ending at the same time, which is absolutely 100% the way it should be. You know, like when the voting was done for the English window to be closed, I never thought it was something that the FA should be sorting out. It absolutely should have been the UEFA or FA or FIFA, whoever it is, who should have done that, because right now the English teams are in a much worse position than they were before this deal came in. It's unfortunate that is the case, but it is, because if we now lose a player, we can't replace him, but we absolutely can lose this player. And you know, I'm sure it does come back to it. Even if every league did this, where they end the transfer window before the season starts. You look at the La Liga, that just started last week. Same with the Bundesliga. The Italian league hasn't even started yet. So I think the Premier League have put their own clubs in much worse positions. But look, there's nothing we can do about it at the moment. We just need to try and kind of trust that these players will be at the club, and that they are kind of devoted enough to the club that they wouldn't leave now when they know the position it would kind of put us in. And Thomas Nation here saying Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the best right back. Welcome to the stream, Alexander Hilton. So look, we still could see a lot of transfer activity over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, it does look like Nkudu will be leaving. That's not the biggest blow in the world. But the main players that we need to keep, obviously, are Toby Alderweireld, who I think will be staying. Jan Vertonghen, I don't think there was anything anything concrete about him leaving the club. I think it was just, his fitness. Christian Eriksen, it's all over the place. I really don't know what's going to be happening there. At the moment, I would kind of lean more towards him staying as the most likely thing, but we all know that could change in a day. Like, it's when it come down to deadline day 2, as Sky Sports are calling it, anything to get some more viewers in. I think it will be a really nerve-wracking couple of weeks for us now. Look, as I said, there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. And what is with all these United fans coming into these streams? I guess it's not even the ones that know what they're talking about. United fans are so deluded. Honestly, sometimes I think United fans are worse than Liverpool fans, and that's saying a lot. Yeah, now there's one other thing I wanted to touch on, but I have forgotten what it was. Just 1 second. Yeah, I've completely forgotten the other thing I wanted to touch on, but I might be streaming again tomorrow, so I'll talk about it then. And just quickly before I go, Football.London article here. Christian Eriksen and the 3 other players that could still leave Tottenham Hotspur this summer. Now, Josh was saying jealousy of Tottenham is why those United fans are in the stream. As saying, it could be a nervy couple of weeks for Tottenham supporters. While the English window is closed, players could still leave. France, Germany, Italy and Spain are all open for a little under 2 weeks, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, there still could be some departures with players heading from Premier League to Europe. And if my laptop loaded, I could tell you who they are. Obviously, Christian Eriksen is one of them. He's been one of the main talking points around Spurs' transfer activity. He's spoken of his desire for a new challenge, which sparked interest from Real Madrid and United. Obviously, he won't be going to United now. He's a second half sub against Villa, of course. Now, the second one they mention here is Danny Rose. And the England fullback has been linked with a move away from Spurs throughout the summer. The 29-year-old was left out of the Tottenham squad for the pre-season tour of Asia in order to explore prospective opportunities with other clubs. Despite this, Tottenham knocked back a late bid from Watford for the player, and he was included in the starting 11 against Villa, and of course against City as well. The signing of former Fulham left-back Ryan Sessegnon has cast more doubts over Rose's future. However, Pochettino has insisted that he is part of the future of the club. And there's more United fans here, my God. Danny is, after 5 years playing with me, he's a very important part of my plan, the Spurs boss said after Saturday's victory. Now, before I go on to these final 2 players, if you have enjoyed the stream, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. And I really appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, just hit that like button down below. Now, moving on to Toby Alderweireld. Alderweireld is another player that is out of contract at the end of the current season. The Belgian defender did have a £25 million release clause in his contract, but of course that now has expired. Serie A club Roma have been heavily linked with a move for the 30-year-old, with some suggesting that they may have been purposely waiting for the Premier League transfer window to close before making their move in order to try and get the defender at a lower price, which I think if they'd realised they were negotiating with Daniel Levy, they would never have done. The player started the season opener against Villa and the game against City, but his contract situation could back Spurs into a corner should an offer arrive on the table. And Del Boy, I think, perfect response there to the United fans. Spot on. Harvey White is better than Pogba, and there's no doubt about it. And the final one here is George Kevin Nkudu. Like the 3 previous players, he has been linked with a move away this summer. The 24-year-old was in the group of players left out of Pochettino's squad that travelled to Asia, but a protracted move to Championship club Fulham as part of the deal that saw Sessegnon arrive never materialised. So he could potentially have been staying in England, going to Fulham, and I think that is why that Sessegnon deal it kind of dragged on for so long, because they were trying to get Nkudu to go the other way, but he didn't want to, and ultimately that fell through. The midfielder has barely featured for Tottenham since signing in 2016, going on loan to Burnley and Monaco last season. Nkudu was used as a second half substitute in the opening game against Aston Villa, but that could be seen as a shop window for the former Marseille man. So that does make a bit of sense. Maybe it was Tottenham saying, look, this is what he can do, this is what he does, buy him please. When I suppose it's okay. I mean, we were winning the game. We kind of had it wrapped up at that stage. But I think Hugo really did well in pre-season, and I'd be surprised if there weren't another few teams in there. It does look to be Besiktas that he will be joining for only £5 million, which I think is ridiculous. What's going on with these United fans? Yes, look, that is all I have time for. Regarding saying ever thought about doing a United blog. I may have to with all these lads coming in. Now, is Ibra Nakanadra? What are you doing here? Look, that is all I have time for today. Again, if you have enjoyed this stream, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you want more of these interactive live streams and different videos throughout the season, I do have a really big video coming soon. I'm working with a whole load of Tottenham content creators on here, and I'm really excited about everyone who's in this video. I'll be telling you in the next couple of days who's in that video with me before I release it. But please, if you do want to see that video, I'm really excited about it myself. Hit that subscribe button down below and click the notification bell so you know whenever I upload. Again, hit the thumbs up if you've enjoyed this stream. Thanks for watching.